Let's continue with our Ukrainian Empire. So last time I marked the capitals, and then so after this, there's a stalemate that is launched right here until Ukraine is eventually able to push down. They start to spearhead right over here and hold a defensive line anywhere else they can. Hungary's starting to lose hope because when the countries all decide to unite, they just decide to kind of separate into like states and whatnot as well. So they're kind of like United States. With this, Hungary starting to get worried. The states can surrender if they want, while most of the other states don't really advise it. And the person, and especially Greece, because they kind of started this whole thing. With this, more pushes are being made in, but there's a harsh line held right here, and Ukraine is starting to have lots of their supplies drained. So with this, they see another foe enter into the war on their side. It is Turkey. So Turkey decides to take some Greek islands because why not? These islands are very harshly defended. Because Greece knows how hard island hopping is, so they decide to defend it fiercely. Um, with this, Turkey also decides to take some more territory, and with this, Turkey takes all of their winnings. And in case you're wondering, and it's kind of essential, Turkey gets all of this part of Greece, which is like a lower part of it. It's not really the mainland, but it's still vital to Greece. Any land is vital, really, unless you're Russia with just frozen stuff, and basically any African country that's next to the Sahara Desert. But whatever. With this refocusment of troops, and this also, by the way, is now called the Balkan Federation again, the Balkan Federation. Um, so with the moved forces, this helps Ukraine and their tank forces encircle the capital and is eventually wiped out. Peace treaties are sent off to the remaining members, and the only thing that Ukraine will accept is total annexation. And obviously, the countries refuse because, duh. Um, Ukraine decides to reverge their troops over to here to keep a front line established, and they start to push down further and further. The um the rest of the forces are then encircled and they're wiped out. So now Ukraine has totally annexed most of their enemies, and any remaining blue spots, by the way, those are pretty much just revolts and partisans and stuff. So now, so after, did I just say Greece earlier? What? So after Ukraine has successfully taken a lots of territory, they also, have a little sphere of influence into, Croatia, and more revolts are eventually put down over here. And partisans are not really faced with the best times. And over here, there's lots of civilians, but they're eventually wiped out. And this is not to put Ukraine in evil light. This is just fake scenario. So now we have a very, very thick Ukraine, but it's looking a little not too thick because this whole Black Sea thing, they can't annex that. They decide to keep expanding their territories elsewhere. So with this, they decide to launch an invasion into the Baltic Union. So with this, they keep their territory expanding by pushing up and taking out some capitals. They then push over into here and are able to take out more of the territory until the Baltic Union eventually surrenders, and Ukraine obviously opts for total annexation. Ukraine will not be making any puppets because they think that's overrated in mapping videos. Yes, this is to make fun of myself. So yeah, now Greece has a little. Why do I keep saying Greece? Now Ukraine has lots more territory, and now it's so that's like really cool and stuff. Cool, I guess. There's lots of revolts in the Baltic Union though, but these are eventually mainly put down. It's still a hard task to do though. So then Ukraine decides to go for their ultimate task, and that is to invade Russia. But with this, they need some resources. And over here, Finland has been kind of getting worried, so they decide to industrialize right around here, usually along their Baltic and Russian border, but mainly the Russian one. So with that, Ukraine decides to launch an invasion just to take it. They meet around the sea levels, and although it's a very industrialized zone, it is not very militarized. Ukraine pushes up, and they offer peace terms to Finland, but Finland decides to not do it. Ukraine keeps pushing in, which they're totally fine with. Um, there is eventually a line meetup, And over here are lots of Jewish lands, which are given lots of Ukrainian support because Zelensky Jewish, but Russia still says that he's kind of not, but whatever. And then there was an encircling movement, and Finland eventually does surrender. So with this, Ukraine just decides to once again annex all the land they took, and now we have a really big Ukraine. So with this, they're ready to launch their invasion into Russia. But Russian troops are already kind of fortified, so they decide to take Kaliningrad first. With this, a very harsh battle is met, and Russia did not just nuke everything. Jesus, it is eventually wiped out, and now there's a push into Russia. Ukraine has acquired nukes from their Kaliningrad, and they decide to save them just in case they're getting pushed back. Ukraine starts to meet up their line, and they're trying to push towards Moscow. And with their Finnish forces, they're able to take St. Petersburg. With this, Russia, after a bit of a stalemate and lots of holding lines and defenses, Russia is able to gather their troops. With this, they start their push back, and they even push deep into the Ukrainian territory. Lots of spearheads and encirclements are established, while St. Petersburg is almost completely liberated, and the Baltic countries are also starting to get liberated with another encirclement happening around here. There's then a harsh line held right here, and even in the Black Sea of all places, we see Russia being able to kind of like take some of that back. And lots of encircling movements are made in the sea. I'm not joking. And yeah, it's a very harsh battle, but they eventually make it out. With their captured territories, Russia decides to send up some forces over here in the Black Sea. This allows for lots of bombardments and a possible another invasion of Crimea. With this, the Russians are in sight of Kiev. They start their push down and cause a complete encircling movement at the capital. So now Ukraine's getting kind of scared. Um, Russian troops decide to just launch and throw their men at the capital, and is eventually completely encircled. Ukraine's extremely worried, so they decide to send out some outskirts, just like their enemy Poland did. But Russia knows their military strategies, and despite multiple attempts to break these outskirts, it ends up in failure. So now Ukraine is doing relatively well in this war, which is kind of surprising everyone, and now everyone's making jokes about it, because that's how the internet works. Um, there's also harsh fighting over in more captured territories, which and Ukraine is starting to push out to put the Russians encirclements out. With, although with these like reinforcements starting to push out, so most of the outskirts of the city are taken out. Ukraine gets into a massive panic right after Russia retakes St. Petersburg. With this, Ukraine decides to pull a drastic measure and they nuke St. Petersburg. With this, they also send multiple nukes over Moscow until eventually two of them hit. They also send a few into the Caucasus oil fields, and then while trying to go around through Kazakhstan, so they can reach to around one of the Chinese or Mongolian borders, a nuke accidentally falls over on Kazakhstan after it's shot down, but they release the guard, and also not Mongolia is not nuked, for God's sake, Jesus. But Russia has had another nuke dropped on them. So if these aren't like these are hydrogen bomb nukes, so they're a lot more powerful, and this causes Russian troops to go help out, and lots of mechs to pull out, which helps Ukraine start to push out Russia. With this, they recapture most of their territories, and they're able to take Moscow. They then start a massive bulge up through here, and they start to go into the Caucasus regions until it is eventually annexed. They keep pushing up, and they're able to recapture St. Petersburg. Frick. And more push-ups are made for the final partisans that are still defending Russia. With this, Vladimir Putin is eventually assassinated after after $2 million bounty this time is put on his head. Surprise, surprise. And Ukraine keeps pushing out. The new Russian president is even more patriotic about Russia. and Ukraine is able to start pushing into the snow territories, which is slowing them down, especially because winter also just hit. With this weekend force, United States and Canada decide to join in and help out Ukraine to destroy Russia. This is also activates Great Britain, which puts in the alliance with Australia and New Zealand. So now Russia's a bit screwed right here. Um, with this, Russia decides to just redraw other troops into the middle of Russia so they can hopefully put in a last minute defense, meaning to a massive bulge right here with mainly Australian and American forces. Um, British and Canadian troops go down over here to border North Korea, and most of Russia is captured at this point. So the Russian troops are mainly put right over there, or mainly encircling this part. So then Ukraine and the Allies realize this, so they decide to just encircle it. Um, this encirclement is rapid, and they even are able to wipe out some of the troops there. And then Russia decides to launch out their final assault. They're able to break the encircling movement, and they start pushing back Ukraine. They are also able to start pushing back the Allies, and I just did not mean to cut into Kazakhstan. Frick.